When you're a new content creator, it can feel overwhelming. Like there are a million different decisions to make. From what platforms to focus on, to nurturing your community online, to ultimately making money from content creation, it can be tough to balance it all. To help you navigate through your early days creating content, I've rounded up my 7 best tips for new creators that I'm going to share with you right now. If you're new here, I'm a fashion and beauty creator based in New York City, and I use this channel to help you create great content, grow your digital brand, and earn sustainable income from content creation. So if any of that interests you, please consider subscribing. I have been a content creator for over 10 years, and I've been a full-time creator since April of 2021. So it's safe to say that there's a lot I've learned over the last decade, and when I think back to the early days of when I was just starting out, or what I wish I could go back and tell myself then, these 7 tips come to mind. Tip number 1, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Or in social media speak, be sure to diversify the platforms that you're creating and sharing content on. It's possible that there's one platform in particular that you started out creating content on and kind of where you found your initial audience. Maybe that was Instagram, or maybe you went viral on TikTok, or maybe you have been slowly and surely plugging away at building a community right here on YouTube for years. And it can be easy to feel a little bit of loyalty towards one particular platform over another. However, it's 2022 and this is not the time to be reliant on just one platform to build your audience. There's a few reasons for this, and I think one of the main ones is just that you are always renting on borrowed land when you post on social media. Not only that, but it is completely out of your control if your account gets flagged or suspended or shut down for some unexplained reason. Even if you did nothing, it can still happen. It's important to plan for the worst case scenario and ask yourself, what would happen if I lost access to my Instagram account tomorrow? Or what happens if my TikTok gets banned and there's no way to get it back? Getting hacked, banned, or suspended could happen at any time, and unfortunately there's no advanced warning for when it does happen. So whether you're preparing for the worst case scenario of your account being inaccessible, or even just changes that happen on certain platforms that may limit your reach or slow your growth, it's really important to diversify. It's for this reason that I'm so vocal about influencers having an email newsletter or a website, because those are things that you control entirely, and that is where your most loyal fans or subscribers will be able to find you should any of your accounts ever disappear. I would also recommend that if you're just starting out and looking to diversify, maybe you were on TikTok and you're wondering if you should grow out and go to another platform, I think that every social media content creator should be on at least one algorithm-controlled platform and one searchable platform. On an algorithm-controlled platform, you have the freedom and flexibility to be super creative, to test things out and experiment, to hop on board trends and try new things, and the time and effort that it takes to produce that content is generally a lot lower compared to content on a searchable platform. However, I think it's really important to have content on a searchable platform like YouTube, your blog, or even Pinterest if you're looking for a low-lift option, because then in that sense, that content can be more evergreen, and when people search for it years and years later, they will still be able to find exactly what they're looking for, compared to platforms like TikTok and Instagram, which are optimized for the discovery experience. So making sure to diversify and be active on at least one algorithm-controlled platform and one searchable platform will set you up for success long term. My next tip is to focus on building trust with your audience before you worry about growth, because your audience has come to you and found you for a reason, and whether they have just watched one video or actually chosen to follow along with you, every single viewer and follower out there is going to be key to your success as a content creator. Your followers have chosen to stick around with you for a reason, and that trust is something that you shouldn't take lightly. I'll also add that, like with any relationship, building trust can take time. So if you found yourself with a new community of people who you don't really know that well, take the time to get to know them. Be sure to poll them, use stickers and Q&As on your Instagram stories, ask them questions on the community tab of YouTube, and get to understand who they are and what they like. I think trust also comes with following through on certain things that you say. So if you say that you're going to plan to go live once a week or host a weekly Q&A for your community, make sure that you're actually following through on that promise. Building and maintaining this trust and community is going to be key, not just for long-term growth, but also for when you may start to monetize and work with brand partners. Especially as a new creator, it can be really exciting to start to get emails from brands who actually want to pay you because you create content, but you want to make sure that any brand partnerships you're taking on are a good fit for your community and something that your audience will actually find beneficial, valuable, or interesting. As an example, let's say that a plant company or hardware store reached out to me and wanted to do a collaboration to promote their new sale for the plants that they have. I would have a hard time saying yes to that because I can't keep a plant alive to save my life. All of the plants in this apartment are fake, including this one, and I'd be better off pitching nearly natural, which is where I get a lot of my faux plants from, versus taking on a partnership where I'd essentially be lying if I said that I had real plants aside from flowers that I buy from the grocery store in this apartment. For this reason, I also tend to place more value in content creators and influencers who I follow who share when things don't work. I actually did this just last week and it was super low-key. I posted an Instagram story sharing these makeup wipes I tried and didn't like because they had grooves on them and it felt very rough on my skin when I was actually trying to use them to remove makeup. And not only did I get a couple of DMs saying, "Thanks for being honest and sharing your opinion about these," but I even got a few recommendations from my audience where I didn't solicit them directly, but some people said, "Oh, have you tried this cleansing balm or micellar water?" They were offering me alternatives because they wanted to share what worked for them. And that was a great way to reconnect with some audience members in my community via DM and hear what they like and what they're up to. So also, as I plan content in the future, I know my audience likes cleansing balms, my audience likes reusable cotton rounds, and that information is really powerful. So if you're authentic and sincere in your recommendations and how you show up for your audience, you'll be able to keep and maintain that trust. My next tip for new creators, and this is especially for those of you who maybe had a video blow up and recently get a bunch of new followers or a bunch of views and comments on your content, which is that when you have momentum, keep it. And you might be thinking, yeah, that seems kind of obvious that I would like to keep this momentum going, but how exactly do I do that? If you had a piece of content recently go viral, I think one of the most powerful things that you can do is try to take that piece of content and recreate it to some degree as much as you can. And before we break that down a little further, I think it's important to talk to you about something that I've been loosely calling the hourglass theory. Basically, the hourglass theory is something I've observed on TikTok, where you want to start out broad when you're posting on a new platform like TikTok or Reels. And when you start to see something take off and accelerate your growth, I think that doubling down and zoning in on that content is one of the most powerful things that you can do in order to accelerate your growth on that platform. Once you've accelerated your growth and built an audience, they naturally start wanting to know more about you. Like, "Oh, Austen, I'm watching that video. Where's your fake snake plant from?" I use this example sometimes, and I think that it's key because even though I don't post about home or interior content, you are still maybe curious about it, just given my setting and the fact that you maybe spend time watching my videos, and after a certain point you start to wonder, where's her outfit from? Where's that plant from? What camera is she using? Like, it goes beyond just what is talked about in one video. It has to do with your environmental surroundings, your personality, the people who may be in your videos with you, and that is the hourglass theory, where you start out broad. When you find something that hits, you double down on it and use it to accelerate your growth so that people want to start knowing more about you, and so you get more broad opportunities later on. That's why I feel like niching down can be beneficial, but only to a certain extent and on certain platforms. If you look at a TikTok creator like Addison Rae, for example, who started out just posting dancing videos, have you seen what she's been up to in the last year? She has a beauty line. She was in a Netflix movie. She has a song out. She's a full-blown celebrity now because she found the one thing that was working and used it to accelerate her growth. Now, to get back to how do you recreate a viral video, you go back and you look at all of the data that you have to pull from, and that can be both qualitative data and quantitative data. So in terms of quantitative data, you can look at how many comments did you get, how many shares or saves of that video did you get, what was the retention, right? On TikTok, you can go in and look to see how much of a video someone watched, and you can even look to see see where was the point where people dropped off, or where was a point where people kept watching. You can also look at video length, right? Was this a short video compared to the rest of the videos you post are all 60 seconds? Maybe something shorter, 10 seconds or under, could be your sweet spot. And then when it comes to the qualitative data, think about the video in itself, right? What was the topic of the video? What style was the video shot in? Was it talking to the camera? Was it voiceover with B-roll? Or was it just footage with music behind it? I think that it can also be helpful, especially for short form video, to take content that was successful on one platform and test it on other platforms, right? If you started out just posting something onto TikTok, what would that content perform like on Pinterest, on YouTube, on Instagram? So take note of what's working, try to recreate it in as many different iterations as you possibly can while still making it interesting for yourself and your audience, and see what happens after you recreate it a few times. Now, as we talk about moving content across different platforms, I think the question of how to stay consistent and still show up on multiple platforms comes through, and I do have a free resource that I think will help you with that. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's my guide called The Influencer Launchpad. It's completely free. I'll leave a link to it down below in the description box. And inside this free guide, I have quizzes to help you find your best posting platform, understand your why as a content creator. Plus, there are plenty of tips in there about establishing content pillars, coming up with a consistent posting schedule, and basically just all around how to start out successfully as a creator. So as I mentioned, that free guide is linked down below if you're interested in checking it out. My next tip for new content creators is to make sure that you start to keep track of your finances if you're monetizing in any way. Some of the different ways you can earn money as a content creator are by joining platform-specific incentives like the TikTok Creator Fund or the YouTube Partner Program, by sharing affiliate links, by working with brand partners, by creating and selling digital products, and so much more. Once you start earning money of any kind as a content creator, it's important to keep track of your income and your expenses. And there are two reasons why it's important to do this. Number one, when it comes to be tax time, you'll thank me that you have everything organized and ready to show your accountant. But the other reason is also that as you continue to grow and scale your business as a content creator, it will be so helpful to have a complete record of exactly where and how much you made money from. So you can look back and say, Instagram was my top generating revenue platform. So this year I'm doubling down on Instagram. I want to max out those Reels bonuses. I want to book more brand partnerships. And that can be a great way to figure out what's working for you so that you can continue to accelerate and grow your income. And it does not have to be complicated in the beginning. You can create a Google sheet that's still to this day what I use to organize the back end of my income and expenses in my creator business. And it'll just be really easy to keep track of. Set a reminder in your Google Calendar to recur on the first of every month to make sure you're up to date on your income and expenses, and that'll just make your life so much easier. If you're looking for more information about what qualifies as an expense for content creators, I actually do have a whole video about this topic right here. My next big tip for new content creators is just this: don't be scared of change. I can certainly think of a few points over the years where changes have felt a little bit intimidating to me, such as different platforms prioritizing video content rather than the photo content that I felt like I finally had a good grasp on creating. And even looking back at the point where Instagram switched from a chronological feed to an algorithm-controlled feed, those were definitely scary times, wondering how will this impact me and my content, and how can I continue to reach the audience that I've worked so hard to build and cultivate. And what I can tell you in my experience is, yes, these changes are scary, and yes, they may even have a direct impact on your content. You might notice lower reach, you might notice a drop-off. So my advice is that when platforms introduce new features, new ways of creating content, new things to try, test them out, and in general, you will be rewarded for it. And you can even decide later on that you don't like these new features and not participate in them, but in my experience, being an early adopter of Instagram Reels, of Pinterest idea pins, even of like TikTok now, has always seemed to work in my favor. Even if I think it's silly, even if I don't really understand it, it's always worth it to at least try, understand what the back end of everything looks like, right? How to create a reel, or or what makes an idea pin different than a static pin, and just having a better sense of these platforms and all of the functionalities so that if you choose to adopt and if you see results from testing a new feature, you're already on board and you're one step ahead of all of the people who are resisting change and who didn't want to give it a go. This is another reason why it's important to diversify your platforms and your income streams, because if a change is made on a platform that impacts your engagement and reach, and therefore potentially how you make money, to know that there are other platforms and other ways of reaching your audience will definitely make you feel less stressed out about that one particular platform having a change. And on a similar note, my next tip for new creators is to never stop learning. One thing that I don't think is talked about as much as it should be is that as we continue to create and publish content and keep up with all the platforms and maintain the day-to-day aspect of our businesses, sometimes it can be hard to take a step back and think about, is this the path I want to be on? Is there something out there that I would like to learn or like to do, but I feel like I just don't have the time to do it? You know, one of the things that I think is hardest for new creators who have not had as much experience or as time spent in this industry is to see that after a while, when you start creating content every single day and you're trying to show up on all these different platforms, it can be easy to get caught up in and focus on the day-to-day and not think back about the long term or what else you might want to be doing and learning to further your creative career that it doesn't feel like you have time for when you're so busy actively replying to DMs, posting new content, talking to brand partners, and it doesn't seem like there's a chance to take a step back and look at the big picture. I'd like to at some point do another video about goal setting in particular and different types of goals, but I do think it's worth touching on in this video to say, you know, what are some of the goals that you have as a content creator? Is there something new that you want to learn as a content creator, whether that is film photography or how to do new transitions on InShot or Video Leap or anything to kind of enhance and continue to learn about how to be the best at creating content that you can be. So I think that being a content creator who is constantly learning, constantly interested in investing in themselves and putting in, whether it's time, money, or whatever it is, to take a course that interests you or watch a free video training or take some time out of your day to just learn or teach yourself one new skill, you'll be amazed at what you can discover and where it might take your business in the future. And my next tip is to create some things just for fun. It's been amazing to see the progress in the creator economy and think about how people actually acknowledge that this is a real job now compared to a few years ago, and to see the strides we've made. But as we continue to build careers as content creators, it can be easy to get hung up on what's making me money right now, what's the fastest path to growth. And while I do think all of those things are important, as we've discussed in other tips, chances are you started creating content for one reason or another because you thought it was fun. Whenever I think of a content creator's origin story of the first time that they ever just uploaded a piece of content to the internet to see what happens, it's always because it started out fun. So don't lose track of the fun. It's possible to still keep the fun and grow a successful and profitable business. Creating content that makes you happy and that fulfills you will make your audience happy in turn. Not to mention, there are so many great resources out there for creators now so that you worry less about the logistical stuff and get to focus more on the fun, creative aspects. And on that note, if you haven't yet downloaded the Influencer Launchpad, be sure to grab your free copy from the link down below in the description box. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos from me, and check out the up next recommendation about which social media platform is best for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.